Shalom from Jerusalem. This is TV7's Israel at War update. And as we continue to update you on the latest developments, it's always important to remember that 95 days ago today, terrorists from the Islamist Hamas organization launched an onslaught on southern Israel, perpetrating a massacre, murdering some 1,200 mostly civilians, wounding over 4,800 others, and kidnapping some 245 individuals, including women, children, men, elderly, as well as infants, many of whom remain in captivity today. Where we're joined by Brigadier General in Reserve Relik Shafir, a former Israeli Air Force commander and a fighter pilot, among other esteemed positions. Thank you for joining us, General. I'd like to ask you about the retaliatory strikes that have been taking place both this morning early as well as yesterday evening. A number of key eliminations, as Mr. Owen mentioned earlier. What can you tell us about that, and to what degree is this truly robust or an equation changer with regard to the latest hostilities, namely in the northern part?
I think this can be seen as an attempt to raise the level of aggression by Israel, short of creating a full-scale war in the north, to convince Hezbollah, the United States, and France, who are the main players in the diplomatic efforts to instill a robust 1701 resolution, UN resolution from 2006, which entails removing Hezbollah from areas up to some 20 or 30 kilometers from the border. Hezbollah will not um, withdraw its forces from the border area unless it has a feeling of imminent and credible threat to its well-being in the whole of Lebanon and Lebanon's well-being. And so, towards these discussions and pressures, Israel is trying to make sure that everybody understands that it will not tolerate the continuance of Hezbollah on the border, which will not allow 80,000 Israelis to return home.
And operational activities in Gaza have turned to subterranean fighting. Nevertheless, the above the ground combat does continue, and the Air Force is still very relevant in those activities. How can you operate, though, within an environment where, for instance, the manufacturing site of rockets, which General Gavish just mentioned, happened to be along the Salahuddin route, which then also connects between Rafah to some of the humanitarian places, which transfer all of the humanitarian goods that enter into the Gaza Strip and then are unfortunately not necessarily reaching the population, but rather to Hamas and its terror affiliates in the Palestinian enclave.
Yes, the Air Force can actually change the ratio of attacks and reconnaissance because as the Air Force oversees the area where the soldiers are mostly busy with the underground tunnels, the Hamas will probably try to sneak from the areas around and lay traps or try to shoot them as they go in and out. And that means that close vigilance over those areas is required from mainly from UAVs. Now, along these tracks where the humanitarian aid is moved, it is almost impossible to discern between civilian use and use of these aids by Hamas because they're so intermixed. So, as far as that part is concerned, it is almost impossible and will probably be so to try to refrain from the aid being used by Hamas, as we can't really distinguish between regular civilians and Hamas. They don't wear uniforms and they're intermixed in the area. So as far as that's concerned, this something that will continue probably until basically Hamas is taken out as a military force, but will always be a danger of terror, which is one of the problems that we have faced in Gaza prior to the withdrawal in 2005 and in other areas as well. So there, the Air Force can't help, or perhaps the Shabak uh, can help some, but we have to contend with the fact that these this is a hostile area and soldiers are in harm's way as long as they're working in an intermixed area.